What is Pilates? Who is it for? And why should you be doing it? We're going to discuss those questions in today's video. Pilates is the art of controlling your spine in several different shapes and then really keeping the integrity of those shapes while other things try to challenge it, like your arms, like your legs, like the pace of the exercise, adding some coordination, making it more intense. All of these things are trying to challenge you maintaining a certain shape of your spine. And that's going to make more sense as we go on with this video. Pilates is for everybody, but you got to understand, what is Pilates really doing? So often I hear Pilates is all about developing core strength. What is the core really, though? So often we think of Pilates as just sort of ab stuff, but Pilates is controlling the spine, and the spine is the center of your body. And so the center of your body is all of those muscles and everything that's supporting your spine. So that what happens is your body moves in one uniform way. So when you walk and you land on your foot, you're not just landing on your foot muscles, you're using all of the muscles that go up the leg, that go up the spine, that go out the head. So forever, I suffered from sciatica. This was years ago before I started Pilates. And so I would go and I would stretch my sciatica, trying to alleviate it and whatnot. But did you know that sciatica, the nerve runs really all the way up through your body? You have the nerve, but then that's attached all the way up through your spine, and that's attached to your brain, which is the sort of energetic force of all of that stuff going in your body. So it's all connected. So to alleviate your sciatica, you actually have to move and stretch and strengthen your whole body in one unit. And that's what Pilates does. You don't just isolate stretches. You actually work the lengthen, because the lengthen part of the work is going to create the strengthening. And then you move from that lengthened position, and that's the strengthening part. So when you can work lengthen and strengthen at the same time, that is where true strength and true flexibility really happen in the body. And it's like magic. It's like magic. It feels like magic. It was like, oh, like all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't gotten pain there in so long. The pain is gone, and it takes time. It takes consistency. This isn't just like happening overnight. It was like daily consistent Pilates work. But it's not like, oh, I have to be an hour on my mat every day. Sometimes it was 10 minutes. Sometimes it was 20 minutes. It all depended on what I had, but I always made sure that I was moving my body intentionally on the mat pretty much every single day. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over those 5 different shapes of Pilates and sort of what I want you to really think about when you're doing your Pilates exercises is I want you to think about these spinal shapes, because that's what is the real nitty-gritty part of Pilates that can really help alleviate so many of your aches and pains. So the first shape is your tall back. So find a wall and let's sit against that wall. I want you to get your pelvis against it, tailbone against it, and then try to straighten your legs out in front of you and pull your ribs in, your shoulder blades, the back of your head. Can you sit up tall? I started Pilates probably 17 years ago, maybe 18 years ago. I had to sit on a box, and the box was probably maybe a foot tall, maybe higher. And that was the only way that I could sit up tall. And then eventually doing some Pilates, I was able then to sit here with bent knees. And then eventually I was able to straighten the legs out like this without it shifting or changing anything in my spine. So if you have a hard time pressing your spine against the wall and keeping your legs out straight, Pilates might be a great thing for you. Where else do we see tall back in the Pilates repertoire? Well, when we're lying down on our back before we even start. I ask you, okay, settle into the mat. Can you settle into the mat and feel that tall back you just had against the wall? It's the same idea. We're trying to anchor the pelvis, pull the ribs in, shoulder blades down, back of your head down. And then you'll notice, okay, what parts of your spine are lifting off the mat. All of us will have we should have a little low back arch and a little space underneath your neck as well. But if your low back is arched a lot, you might need a little support under there. Maybe you're flat backed. Again, you might need a little support there to create that arch, okay? So it's all about kind of messing with props to help create this, and then eventually taking the props away when maybe one day you can. Now, I said the art of controlling the spine while extremities challenge, okay? So one exercise that does that I can think of is the single leg circle. So that's where we circle the leg 5 times each way. And what I'm trying to do is keep the integrity of my tall back, keep my pelvis down, my ribs down, shoulders, head, not changing anything there. Anchor my bottom leg as I circle those legs. That's challenging the shape of the spine. Where else do you see tall back? We see tall back when we're on our stomach, right? We're trying to anchor the pubic bone, lift the hip bones up, draw the belly in. So it's the opposite of against the wall, but I want you to think about the wall against your back, right? You got to pick the ribs up, pull the ribs into your spine, get the shoulder blades back and down, reach out of the crown of your head. And then you can see tall back also here when we're on our side, right? So we do our side leg series. Bring your legs to the front corner of your mat and then find your tall back here, like you're against that wall. Does that change anything for you? Lift this leg up. You have your kick series, right? Where we do all these different sort of things with our leg so we sometimes think, oh, how high can I lift my leg? How much can I push it back and forth? Big circles. Really what it's about is the integrity of your spine. Can you maintain that tall back the entire time? Can you use the challenge of the movement of this leg and really maintain that tall back and not change the shape of your spine as you're kicking? It's hard work, really hard work. We have a lot of areas that tall back really, one, initiates the exercise, does the setup for you. So it's probably one of the most important shapes of your spine, and it's just sitting tall, and that's a lot of work. So you can even spend a session just practicing your tall back against all different surfaces in different directions. Second shape is your round back. The round back comes from the tall back, okay? So let's do spine stretch forward. So we flex our feet, we sit up nice and tall. You have your tall back here. So as you sit up tall, all you're doing is you're creating the longest round back that you can. So I'm drawing my belly into my spine. It's initiating that movement as I drop my head, and I'm lifting my body up and over. I'm trying to create length in my spine, even though I'm rounding it. Quite often what I see in this is, ooh, how much can I stretch forward? All I've done is compressed in my joints. Yeah, my belly muscles might be engaged, but they're not strengthening, and I'm just sort of collapsing. If you think about tall back being the main most important shape, trying to keep the integrity of that tall back as you round, pull your belly in. It's the same idea as you roll back too. If I roll back, drawing my belly in, my belly is really supporting the movement, but I'm not collapsing into it, right? Not collapsing. I am trying to maintain length in my spine as I draw the belly in. It changes it, right? Versus just compressing into it. So often I hear, all right, tuck your pelvis and just go. What are you doing? You're just like compressing everything in, right? But if you really think about, all right, I'm still reaching out of the crown of my head. I'm still reaching out through my heels. I'm trying to create that stretch, even though I'm rounding back. Same thing when you do your ab series or your 100. A lot of people, what they want to do is they think higher is better. The more they scoop in, the better. Like, right? Like you're just squishing. But what's happening is I tucked my pelvis, my shoulders are rounded forward, and I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling my belly. It's burning a little bit, but I also feel so tense and uncomfortable. Where if you think tall back, anchor the pelvis, keep the pelvis anchored, don't let it tuck, and really reach long through the spine, but engage that belly, and you try to almost take the weight of your head into your belly. But again, you have the length and the stretch of it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So if you think whenever you're doing some sort of flexion, just think, I'm always trying to decompress my spine. Anytime you're letting go and you're compressing the spine, okay? We don't want to do that. That's causing more harm than good. All right. So now the third shape is extension. So getting into your tall back, right? Anchor the pubic bone, hip tips pulled up, belly pulled in, ribs pulled in. Okay. So you're finding your tall back. Again, it's starting your exercise. It's your setup. And then I want you to think about extension being round back in the opposite direction. So you're trying to stretch long. As you stretch long, you're also lifting. So often what I see in this one is, ooh, how high can I lift up? I'm pushing right into my low back. Oh, yeah. And then it's really just becomes low back and then like kind of the neck, right? Do you feel that a lot when you do extension work? Can you think, all right, I'm anchoring my pubic bone, pulling my hip bones up, Stretching long, my belly pulls in so much. It's making me lift as I reach through my chest, reach through my feet, anchor my feet, and I'm thinking tall back, tall back, tall back as I reach my chest forward. A lot of work. It's a lot of control of the spine. And again, what did I say in the beginning? Pilates is the art of controlling your spine in all these different shapes. Next shape is our twist. Okay, so let's find our tall back. Bring your legs together. So twisting, I'm starting in tall back. I actually want to maintain tall back the entire time during this. Okay, so let's just take our hands on our shoulders, lift up tall. So you have that tall back like you're against a wall, right? And you want to maintain it as you just twist the spine. So imagining from my tailbone all the way up through the crown of my head, spiraling up almost like a corkscrew. Often what I see in this is the hips getting involved, and that becomes a turn. Here I am turning where I can continue to keep going. A twist, there's a point where you're not going to be able to go anymore, okay? Because without getting the hips involved. We want to make it about controlling the spine only. So it's just your spine that twists. If you bring your arms out to the side, this is another one where I see sort of the arms. You look at my arms. What is this doing? Right, I flexed and my arms are trying to twist me, right? Your arms should be the same distance from your chest the entire time. Reach them out to the sides and you're twisting the spine, where if you were to put your hands right on your shoulders, doesn't change, right? So the extremities are trying to challenge the movement of the spine. And then the fifth shape is your side bend. This is one where we don't want to collapse over. So you want to really think tall back. I lift my arm, doesn't change my tall back. And then thinking the tallest back ever as you start to flex over. And again, the hips don't go with you. This is just about controlling the spine in the shape, right? And other side, we go up and over. Pretty cool, right? The up is the most important part because the lengthening up is what's creating the strength in the spine. It's what's really developing all of those muscles in the spine. And when the spine is super strong in that way, I'm not talking about like strong and stiff, right? When you really think length and suppleness, we're just lengthening and it still has freedom to move, right? We're not stuck in a position. When you get that length and then you stretch over, that's where you develop like true flexibility. As the exercises get more intense, now you're adding a little bit more strength power to it. It's like, okay, can I keep the shape of this spine as I'm only on my feet and hand, right? So we have like our side bend here. It's like, how can I control that side bend? But what you've done before it, you've really worked in your prep positions. You really worked that up and over where you've gotten that strength to hold that shape. And then you can just use the support of your arms and legs that are attached to your center to help you. I see a lot of people who do their side bends and it goes all into their shoulder, right? All into that upper body. It's just too much pressure on that shoulder where Pilates is uniformly developing the whole body, where your hips are really the center of that. Your pelvis is the center of that. Your pelvis is helping to support your side bend. So as I lift up and over, I squeeze my thighs together, I lift from my pelvis, and then I try to create that spinal shape. And it becomes not very much on that arm. It's almost working effortlessly, which is pretty cool. Then you have your plank, which eventually can be your push-up where you add movement. But the plank, all the plank is tall back. Squeeze my thighs together, pelvis neutral, really just stretching long, right? If I lift my hips up, changes the shape of my spine, right? That's not tall back. If my pelvis drops, I'm an extension of the spine. That's not tall back. Where are you going to create that tall back? Like you're against that wall, right? That's all you're creating in that position. And then you can add push-ups, you can add leg lifts, and that's going to help challenge you keeping the shape of your spine, keeping the integrity of that shape. And that's what I meant. The art of controlling your spine while extremities try to challenge it, while intensity of exercise tries to challenge it, or whatever it is, or pace. It kind of simplifies it in a way. 5 shapes. That's all you're doing, the entire Pilates repertoire. If you can master your 5 shapes, you can do any exercise that you want. Really, if you can master your tall back is hard. It's hard to create that without using props and such in the beginning. You might want to use props. And if you're unsure of, hey, do I need props? Don't I? I do private sessions. So if you want to just check the description below, it will give you information on, you go to balancetothecore.com and there's information there. But I can help you try to figure out, and then it can help enhance the rest of your Pilates exercises. Because ultimately, I want you to be able to get on the mat without a teacher in front of you. I want you to be able to have these exercises in your body, and your body is your best teacher. So I want you to get on that mat and know exactly what your body needs. But as you're starting out, you might need a little help. Like, am I doing this right? If you have those questions, I can help you. But I hope this was helpful. I know it really helped me when I grasped that. It simplified it for me so that when I was doing each and every exercise, I just thought, okay, this is coming from tall back, and then I want to try to create that spinal shape. Give it a go. Use the comments below if it's helpful for you. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss a video, because I try to come on once, twice a week, and would love to have you part of the community. Okay. So I will see you next time on the mat. Take care.